With flooring behind us, we are on to part 5 of our kitchen build, which means it's finally time to get some appliances in. This video goes from wrangling a 370-pound fridge up the stairs to 3. Holy hell. Nope.
Yeah, that was fucking heavy.
To every appliance in its final resting place. And as always, what we thought would be the easiest things turn into the biggest pains in the butt.
If you clamp it, just let it slip.
Whoa! Come on. Hey! What are we gonna cook first?
Cinnamon rolls!
We just wrapped up flooring, which means today is appliance day. We're putting all of our Zline kitchen appliances in. Just getting these things up here was a project in and of itself. Here's a quick flashback to that. We literally just got this pantry cabinet in. It's only got a couple screws in it, but the fridge is going in here and we're gonna try to get this upstairs. Shane's here and Elena's dad, Mark, is here. So we have 3 guys. We have an appliance dolly, freshly purchased from Harbor Freight, $100. Pretty good deal for that little tool, which hopefully is gonna save us right now. And let's move a 350-pound fridge up the stairs. It is 350.
Gross is 370.
Get this nice and centered.
Strap her in. Oh boy, all right. Tipping back. Holy guacamole. Well, it rolls nicely on flat ground. We're gonna see how that changes. Oh, hit the wall. Need some touch-up paint there, to be expected. 1, 2, 3. Holy hell, nope.
All its weight is on him.
I could not get that up. Yeah, I can't tip it up.
Yeah, that was fucking heavy.
I can't deadlift no 350 pounds, that's for sure.
Oh shit. I think we need the countertop guys tomorrow to freaking crane lift this shit in.
Well, I was thinking about putting it on the skid steer. Holy guacamole.
You think their crane could just wrap this thing up and bring it through the door?
If you have 2 guys up on top and 2 on the bottom, I think that's how you're gonna get it up.
Yeah, that is insane. That's
heavy.
like way more than 350 pounds. I'm just worried once you get like 4 steps up, there's no turning back.
I know. So can you make the turn through the door? You almost need like a winch at the top of the stairs to drag this thing up. We probably
what you're doing down there, Justin?
Nope, but I'm just gonna
push.
We're
gonna want George to tilt,
and then
we're
once I
gonna
have room,
pull,
I'll sit
and then
behind it.
Yeah, just start pushing. And then
Okay.
Are we all
do that.
behind this?
Are you pushing? Yeah.
Are you good? Oh, this is easy.
I'm surprised. So this was not easy with 3 people, I can tell you that. We went with Zline appliances for the main fridge, the mini fridge, the stove, and the microwave drawer. We saw them at the IBS show this year. We thought their designs were really awesome. The champagne bronze accents went well with all the rest of the gold and bronze that we're gonna have up here in this kitchen.
Their saying is attainable luxury, which is pretty much what it is. It's a really, really nice looking fridge at a more affordable price than something like a Jenn-Air or something that's really, really expensive.
We saw some $20,000 fridges at that show.
Yeah, so it's really exactly what we were looking for this space. This isn't going to be our forever space. And so we wanted something that fit the style that we're going for, but also was more affordable.
Now that we got everything up here, it is up to just Elena and I to get these things into their final resting places. Let's go over the plan quick for all the various appliances. First, of course, is the fridge, which is going right here, obviously, and we have just 2 hookups for that. The water line for the ice maker and a standard 120 volt outlet. One thing we'll do a little differently for the fridge is drill a hole in the side of this cabinet here and pull the water line in there first, put a shut-off valve there that we can access even when the fridge in place, then run the water line back through the cabinet to the actual fridge. And eventually, I would like to put a reverse osmosis water filtration system in here. I have the tank and the filters mounted in the bottom of this cabinet, and I can do that easily with the fridge still in place. When that project comes around, I probably will still need to pull the fridge out to get the drain line for the osmosis water system over to the sink, but it'll at least be nice having that shutoff valve in there for the time being. Anytime we need to go change a water filter in the fridge, to be able to turn that valve off. I don't think there is one built into the fridge. So in their instructions, they say make sure you can access that valve without moving the fridge. Next appliance in line is in our island, and that's the drawer microwave, which goes in this microwave base cabinet. You can see I still got some electrical stuff in here. I still need to wrap up a couple things. I actually have a junction box behind this drawer right here. That contains 2 circuits, one dedicated for the microwave and another one for the island outlets. And then one thing that's kind of special about this microwave to mention is that it's a drawer microwave. I think you can either pull the handle or hit a button and it just sort of automatically slides out. Place your food in from the top, slide it back in, and it's hidden in the base cabinet all the while. Honestly, I never even heard of drawer microwaves before we started this project, but when we started designing this kitchen and thinking about where it would go, there's only, I think, 4 different options that you can choose from. On the counter, the old-fashioned classic way, over the range, in the wall like a wall oven, or under the counter in a drawer format. So that's what we ended up choosing. It just worked best with the layout of our kitchen. And we wanted a custom range hood that looked sort of decorative, as would be like the focal point of the kitchen, rather than having the microwave above the range. So it's really just personal preference. Next in line is the stove that will go in this nook right here. This is a 30-inch wide opening for the range. We actually could have done 36. We could have shifted all of these cabinets over 6 inches. We did have the room, but we didn't really think about it at the time, and 30-inch will be just fine. We don't really need a 6-burner stove. It's really, I think, just for looks. I've never used more than 2 burners simultaneously in my entire life. But if you're a big cook, then maybe you do need 6. We opted to go with a gas over gas range. We have a propane hookup here. It's what our radiant floors on the first floor are powered by. So we like cooking on gas and we just decided to go with gas. However, we did put in a junction box and a wire for a 40 amp outlet in the case we ever wanted to switch to induction in the future. We also have a standard 120 volt outlet here. Of course, even a gas range needs some electricity for the control panel and the igniters, that sort of thing. Right now, we just have a blank cover plate on the 40 amp outlet because obviously we don't need it right now. This is our little built-in gas box. This is a 4-foot flexible appliance connector, which will connect to the stove, and then our 120 volt outlet as low as possible there. I actually had this up quite a bit higher, and the Instagram community kindly informed me, or not so kindly, however you want to put it, that it was way too high and you really need to pay attention to where your outlets are for all appliances, washer, dryer included, but especially stoves with a gas connection. They have a specific cutout in the bottom of the stove to accommodate this appliance connector looping back in there. So if this is too high, this is going to be sticking out of the wall and you're not going to be able to get the stove up against the wall. So luckily I was able to move this down a little bit. Same thing with that outlet, and we're good, but just keep that in mind. That would have almost been a life lesson learned the hard way. We actually won't be able to install the stove today because we are going to put the range hood there first. So we'll check back once we have that done, and the stove will be the last thing we put in. Next up, beside the sink, we have the dishwasher. We actually are not going to be using a Zline dishwasher. We like to model from Bosch a little bit more, so we'll do that in a separate video.
And finally, we have this little nook down here, which is going to have a mini fridge in it. So this is really simple. We're just gonna push it in there and plug it in. This eventually is going to be a little dry bar area. So we're gonna have our coffee set up here, maybe some other glasses and things. Still need to figure out exactly what it's gonna all look like, but yeah, the mini fridge will be essential for storing drinks and creamer and things.
We're gonna start with the easiest appliance, which is the mini fridge. All we literally have to do is slide this in that opening and plug it in, and it should work. To protect our floors though, we're gonna use these little furniture sliders. I just picked these up on Amazon and they're 3.5 inches in diameter, and they have a little cup. That should help keep the appliance feet from slipping out and overtop the cup. We're gonna put it on the big fridge as well and the stove. Up until now, we've been using these guys, which are like forearm lifting straps to move this, the dishwasher, and the stove around, and they've been really handy. It makes things a lot easier. So I think we'll probably lift it over there with the straps, set it on these guys, and then we can slide it on back. The only other little bit of work we have to do is change the handle out. We got all the Autograph Edition appliances, which means Zline provided a special handle with them. All of ours are champagne bronze to match the champagne bronze handles that will eventually go on the cabinets and drawers. Well, we got it all the way in and then realized it seemed to be kind of leaning out, and go figure, when you put the 2-foot level up against the door, it is not even close to plumb. So these front legs have to get lifted up. So I'm pulling it back out. We're gonna try to lever it up, screw those legs down a little bit, and get it nice and leveled out. It would have worked, but this will look a lot better. We got those front legs cranked up and it is now sitting perfectly plumb and exactly where it should be. The tolerances are like perfect around the edges. But we're opening it up and playing around with it, and we noticed it's like when you slam it, it just kind of like vibrates a little bit. There's more movement than we would want. And then I tried pulling out the wine drawer with this door open, and it threatens to tip the whole thing forward. So 2 things. First, I think it's less sturdy on the foam pads than it is on just its feet. So I think we might take those foam pads out and just protect it as it slides back with maybe some cardboard or something, and then remove that so it's on its solid feet on the floor. And then also, I know we'll have to do this in the microwave too. We can put some shims underneath the top of this up against the countertop, and that will prevent it from tipping out at all. So that is probably something we'll have to do as well to get this thing nice and solid in here so that no one's ever going to be tipping it over trying to pull the wine drawer open. So otherwise though, this thing looks pretty cool, and we'll handle the handle situation after we've got it all set. As always, it helps to read the instructions, and look what came with the thing, anti-tip brackets. So they've already thought of this clearly, and we are just delinquents for not reading the instructions. We try to do that usually, but failed this time. Seemed simple enough. Take 2 on the mini fridge. We got our brackets on now. I played with the feet a little bit more to get the front door nice and plumb. The top is level, obviously. And while I was at it, I raised all the feet so that the corner of this door came to the same height as the top edge of these drawers and doors of the cabinet. I just thought that looked a little bit better. It's something I noticed when I was in there. So let's go ahead and see if we can get this to work now. Oh, and we also ditched the foam pads and just put a little piece of paper towel under there just to make sure it doesn't scuff the floor as it's going back. It's definitely a lot sturdier on just the feet now too. Like when you close it, it feels pretty much like a normal fridge, where before it was really vibrating. The only thing I'm worried about is getting these brackets in between the cabinet face frames, because it's a really tight squeeze. We'll see if that's gonna work or not, I'm not sure. Yep, that's exactly the problem I thought was gonna happen. These things add like another 1/2 inch to the width of the fridge, and I made the opening what they called for in the manual, which is obviously just wider than the fridge itself. So these side mounts are not gonna work in our scenario. So we're back to the drawing board. I don't really wanna like put an insert in the quartz up here. Not quite sure what we're gonna do. We might just go back to the idea of putting shims up underneath here. Just get some long shims that go all the way to the back, and then put another matching shim up in from the front. For now, I'm just gonna get it pushed in, and we will just know to open it like normal human beings, not slamming things or yanking the drawers out, until I can make some long shims that will go back under here. And the cool thing about this door is the hinges allow it to not interfere with any cabinetry that's next to it. It's like a specialty hinge there, which is really nice. That's how you can get it all the way up underneath the cabinets. And that's about flush right there, I want to say. This thing is a beauty. I love how it looks underneath the countertop. This is gonna be awesome, especially once we change the handle out. I just gotta turn this breaker on, and we're gonna be in business. At the bottom, this kick plate adjusts to with these slotted screws to sit down against the floor more snugly. Just like that. Just turned the breaker on. Time to take it on the maiden voyage. Giving us an off, hit the on. Heyo.
Look at that light. That's so cool.
She's a beaut.
You can turn that off, I think. Ooh.
Yep, it's very classy looking.
Oh,
There's the compressor.
there it goes.
Nice and quiet.
It's just us.
Really nice, quiet compressor. I learned through their manual that wine is typically stored at like, red wine is like 61 and red wine or white wine is like 54. It's pretty warm for wine. But beer and soda is, cold, obviously. They're soft close, or they just kind of...
They don't seem like they are. No, they definitely are not.
Here's the fancy box that the Autograph Edition handle comes in. Very elegantly packaged. Even comes in a nice fabric sleeve. And there is the beautiful champagne bronze handle. That's gonna be amazing. Looks very nice. It's really simple to take these handles off. There's just a couple Allen screws holding them onto pegs. They even give you the right Allen key. There we go. That was easy. It'll look even better once we have matching handles and all the rest of the cabinets. Next up is the main fridge, but before we try to muscle that 350-pound beast into this opening, there's a little bit of prep work I wanted to take care of first. First of all, it is my worst nightmare that there will be a leak somewhere back here, likely from this joint right here, that will just dribble down the wall and end up in this crack right here between the wall and the floor and go undetected until it's spilling out 25 feet away somewhere that we can't see. So I had the crazy, maybe harebrained idea to use some scrap flooring and just put it around the perimeter here to create a little bit of a waterproof tray. I'm gonna seal it with Lexel all the way around and at least make it three-sided. So if it's gonna leak and dribble onto the floor and it can only go out in front of the fridge where inevitably we're going to walk in the puddle and see that it's leaking. We just did our flooring. We have all these long skinny floor scraps, so it's like the perfect usage for them. They're only a 1/4 inch thick, so it's gonna easily fit within the opening. But if you didn't have flooring, you could easily use wood or anything like this, as long as you have a good bead of caulk that seals the perimeter, or at least the perimeter on 3 sides. I think that's all you really need. I'm also gonna pop this piece of trim off and do the same sealing treatment around this joint right here. We do have this taped for air with the Reson tape, but I'm gonna put at least a bead of Lexel across the bottom and then up each side, just so that if this ever fills up, this lip caused by the frame doesn't direct the water back and into the wall and behind the drywall. That'd be even worse. This is probably the worst caulking job I've ever done. This tube has been open for several months now and there's so much dried crap in the nozzle. These are the flooring scraps I cut for the molding around the bottom. These were literally gonna go in the garbage, so it feels good to give them a second life of sorts. I'm gonna put the factory edge up against the floor just because it's the straightest, and I did all my rip cuts with a jigsaw, so the cut edge is not nearly as straight as the factory edge. I'm gonna go something just like that. I'm gonna put a bead of Lexel on the back of these to sort of glue them and then fasten them with some pin nails until that dries. Then run a bead around the bottom edge. And conveniently, that factory edge leaves a little recess so I can actually get a good bead in there. And these are just 1/2 inch 23 gauge pin nails out of my $20 Harbor Freight gun. I wanted to get a cordless one of these, but the DeWalt version was like $230, and for that I'm willing to pull out the air hose. And there we go. Now I can sleep well at night knowing this fridge isn't gonna be leaking on me behind the wall. And while I was at it, I cut pieces for the dishwasher to do the same exact thing. So while I got everything out, I might as well do this one now. Then I flushed a few 5-gallon buckets of water out to get rid of any debris or chemical leftovers from pipe manufacturing. We also tossed out the first few batches of ice for the same reason. With that taken care of, the only other thing we need to prep for before we put the fridge in the opening is the water line. Here's the line that comes off the fridge, pretty standard inch, 1/4 inch compression coupling, and there's enough slack here that I just sort of eyeballed where it would come down and have about 6 inches. I want this connection inside the cabinet so I can always keep an eye on it, make sure it's not leaking. And I just eyeballed the height off the ground where this would need to come into the cabinet so I can drill my holes appropriately. I want to test fit to make sure that hole is big enough. So this is a compression fitting, and this whole thing is going to have to be able to go through that cabinet. So including this nut, it's going to have to be probably a 5/8 diameter hole. Yep, still need a little more. So we just really need to get the bottom portion done to the valve on the inside of the cabinet, and then we can worry about the second leg from the valve to the fridge. Once we get the fridge over here. Once we get the valve on, we can leak check this too. We definitely do not want this leaking behind the fridge. Pretty simple. The tube goes right in there. It's a little double cone, compression cone, and then this nut compresses that cone right on down. I'm just gonna tighten it with a little wrench. This whole kit of this tubing was not supplied with the fridge. I got this on Amazon separately. Came with these little 90-degree bend supports, which it seems a little bit tighter of a radius than I would like, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and use it anyway. Like, I noticed that it ovals it out just a little bit when you put the tube in, but I don't want to put any stress on this if we push the fridge back and it's, you know, pushing against this. I don't want to kink this hose, which could make a weak spot over time and or just reduce our flow. I think I'm going to put this on, and at least if it's going to be kinked, it's somewhat controllably.
Just snaps on like that. I think that should work. I'm gonna put a little staple right there or something. I'm gonna just get electrical staple for that one.
I am gonna find a stud for this, even though it's just a little staple, but I was influenced by Insider Carpentry Spencer Lewis for these stud finders, and holy crap, are they awesome. It makes it so incredibly easy. Oh, say that, now it's finding pipe, but these 3 little dots indicate where the stud goes, and it doesn't really get simpler than that. So now I can find exactly where that staple needs to go. Boom, 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 and drive her in. Especially important with our Sega barrier, we want to go through studs only. Because we got the twinette tape, that really sticky double-sided tape, and I'm gonna say that's gonna seal around the fastener. Regardless, it's better to go into some solid framing than just drywall. Beautiful. The tubing kit included this handy little cutter with a V-shaped razor blade on it, so that when you cut it, it sort of slices the thing totally through and doesn't leave any burr or anything. If I was using a pair of snips or something, it would crimp the pipe and leave a kind of a rough edge, whereas this thing slices it really cleanly and is important for these compression fittings. All right, I got that stapled up there. The valve's closed, so I'm gonna open this valve and make sure we don't have any leaks between these two. Okay, there was not much volume to do anything with there, but there does not appear to be any leaks, so that's good. We talked through the game plan a little bit, and I think this is what we're gonna do. Ditch the dolly, first of all, and I don't think we're gonna use the furniture sliders on this based on our experience with the mini fridge and the extra wobbliness. So Elena's taping down some floorboard boxes to protect the floor in front of the fridge. And I'm thinking we can walk it up on that cardboard. And it does have a wheel on all 4 corners. However, they don't swivel. They can only let the thing roll forwards and back. So we might need to do some shifting around on the cardboard. They are plastic wheels, so they should slide decently anyway. Otherwise, it's just gonna be some muscle. We have to get it off this piece of foam to start out with. So we'll walk it off that and figure it out as we go, really. So I'm gonna try to just tip it back, and then we'll walk it 1 corner at a time off the platform. Yes, each of us should be on a side. Can you hold this while I transition over? I'm holding it for going forward.
Yes, I'm holding it.
I'm gonna lift my side and walk it back.
I'm just gonna be the support. Okay, now do you want me to switch sides?
All right, 1, 2, 3. We'll slowly lower it down. When we first unpacked the fridge, there was a big old dent in the freezer door that was clearly a shipping boo-boo because of a matching dent in the box. So this was a bummer, but Zline sent out a new door, no questions asked, and it swapped right in with 4 screws.
One-man show over here.
How close are we to the counter? You need to push my way?
Slightly. 1.5 inches at least.
We did end up using the furniture slides temporarily to rotate the fridge, then took them out once it was lined up and ready to go straight back. 1, 2, 3. It's gonna be a pretty tight squeeze too, by the way. I mean, it's pretty much snug in this opening. Light push in 1, 2, 3. Light push in 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, with the rollers, it rolls.
She's in.
Well, she's in. It's nice and snuggly. We got plenty of room up top for ventilation. I think I'll probably build some sort of louver to go in here so that we don't see the back edge of that cabinet back there when we're just standing here. But that's gonna be a future DIY project. Along the sides, it's pretty snug too. I think they want a 1/2 inch on either side. We definitely don't have that. But that's just a fact of how wide this cabinet was. I guess we could have maybe put a filler over here. Another thing we'll have to do is reverse the swing on these cabinet doors. We didn't really think about that. Once we have a handle on here, when we open the fridge door up, the back edge of this fridge door is going to swing into the handle. So didn't even think about that at all, but should be pretty easy to resolve just by switching the hinge direction on these cabinet doors. Speaking of cabinet, I went ahead and put the other little line in there. For some reason, I could not get a regular compression fitting to work with this. The compression fitting kept the threads from engaging for some reason, but luckily the kit included another type of connector, which is like a face sealed washer with this little quick connect coupler. So that works just fine. Went ahead and put another staple on the other side, and it should be ready to fire up as soon as we get the water filter in it. That is this little box up here. They supply you with a filter, which is nice with the fridge. Just a little 1/4 turn cap, double O-ring seal. Yep, it does say on the filter to turn the water supply off when you change these things, so I'm glad we have that valve in the cabinet. I'm just gonna leave this be. Always scary when you open these valves for the first time. But I heard the water stop flowing. No leaks, and this thing's a lot heavier now. It's definitely full of water. Should be able to click that up, and there we go. Ready to fire it up.
It's already starting to make ice, it sounds
It's making some noise. Whoa. Yeah, it sounds like the ice maker's starting to fire up. Yeah, but it's definitely getting started. Well, the fridge is in. It looks beautiful, but we can't stop there. We are right on to the next one. That's the microwave down here. And I've already started kind of thinking about what's going on. I did a little bit of work on this last night, and I didn't even bother filming it because it was so tight, but I did the electrical work. In this drawer below the microwave, that piece of flex conduit actually has two Romex circuits. One is dedicated for the microwave. The second one is a continuation of the pantry and bar receptacles for the island receptacles. Those both come up in here into this junction box. Then I took both of those circuits out in their own 12-2 MC cable to the adjacent cabinet here. This is a trash can pull out, and mounted this second junction box. The receptacle circuit is just capped in there for now, and then the microwave circuit is hooked up to that 20 amp receptacle for the microwave, which will be plugged in through that little hole that I made over in the corner of that cabinet, which that comes into the actual microwave base cabinet. Eventually, I think we're gonna put an outlet in the back of this drawer up here. There's these systems called docking drawers that allow you to easily do that. I'm gonna probably have to put another junction box though, if I don't wanna use this dedicated circuit from the microwave. And the way these 90-degree plugs come in, the microwaves will be going like that, and the docking drawers would also need to be going that direction, so they would interfere. So I think I will have to add another junction box of some sort. There was actually a code change recently where you no longer have to put outlets at the end of your island. They found that what was happening was there would be something like a mixer or a toaster or whatever up on the island, and kids would end up pulling the cord, pulling the appliance down onto their head in the process. So that is no longer a mandate, which is really nice because I did not want to cut into this cabinet end or the panel that I'm gonna put on here. I would much rather have the outlet hidden in the back panel of a drawer where in the infrequent times I'm going to use it, I can just open the drawer, plug the thing in, close the drawer with the cord coming out temporarily. The code does still mandate that you have the ability to wire outlets in the island, but you do not actually need them in the ends now. Anyway, so the electrical is taken care of for the microwave. All I have to do is plug it in now. The rest of this is all carpentry. The openings on these microwave base cabinets are purposely small so that you can cut out to fit your exact microwave. In our case, we have to make this taller, and our microwave doesn't actually take up the whole width, so we're gonna have to make a couple filler strips to go in on each side, 1 inch in width. I've already marked out the height that I need. In our case, it's 14 3/4 for the opening, and it's gonna be 22 wide. And I thought about freehanding this with a jigsaw, but I want it to be really precise because there's not much overlap for the microwave face frame on this. So instead, I'm going to use my router with a 1/4 inch flat bit and just take shallow passes until I get all the way through and to one clean cut. Obviously, I'm not gonna freehand the router, and unfortunately, I don't have the bottom bearing pattern bits. That would be really nice. I could just make a pattern exactly this dimension, clamp it on, and then run the router bit on the inside. So I'm going to do something a little bit different, but along the same lines. I cut a couple strips of just this scrap flooring. It's got a nice cushion, so it's not gonna mark up the surface of my cabinet. And I'm gonna tape these in place, and I cut these to a dimension that the offset of my router from the base plate will serve as the pattern. So I have one for the top, one for each side, and I'm gonna tape these in place, run the router along the inside a bunch of times, and at the end of the day, hopefully we should have a nice square cutout. I'm gonna have Elena hold the vacuum up to the router while this is happening because this is gonna make a heck of a lot of dust. Well, that went pretty smoothly. We did have one minor hiccup, which is over here at this end, you can see it started getting real squirrely. And that was because this piece of tape broke and my router base got up underneath this piece of flooring. The flooring kind of flapped up. And I was like, why is it so hard every time I'm coming down here? Well, it's because I was carving outwards a little bit more with every pass. And You can see at the very last pass, we realized that, changed things, and that one is nice and straight. Luckily, there's about a 3/4 inch flange that comes over from the edge of the microwave, which will hide all of that. The overlap is really only close at the top edge. There's only 3/16 of the microwave that comes and overlaps this. So we needed to get the top edge right, and that seems to be quite good. So this, in theory, was the hardest part of the install. Everything else should be downhill. So I'm gonna go ahead and take all this tape off. There's where the masking tape held, and there's where you cannot trust masking tape to be your clamp. There's just a few more pieces of wood we need to add to this cabinet before we can set the microwave in. First being the runners. They are the base that the microwave will sit on. As you can see, the bottom of this cabinet base is 3 inches below the top of the face frame. So when that microwave goes in, it's got to actually sit on something. To make up those 3 inches, I have cut just some strips of 1/2 inch plywood, 6 strips for each side. And I'm just gonna fasten them in series, one at a time, to create that buildup and give myself a place to land. I've already made some markings in the cabinet for spacing so that the 4 corner feet of the microwave land right on these strips and it can slide straight back. The second thing I need to add is this little contraption I made right here. This is the anti-tipping block. So this is gonna span across the whole back of the cabinet on the top, screw up to the stretchers of the cabinet, and I measured it out. I only needed a 1 inch thick spacer, so I made just 2 1/2 inch pieces of plywood screwed together. I was a little short on plywood, hence the gap in the middle, but this will keep the microwave from tipping once the drawer is fully extended, and you might have some weight in it as well. Or if a kid grabs onto the handle while it's extended, we don't want the microwave tipping up and hitting the bottom of the counter, which could break not only the microwave, but the front of the cabinet too. So this will keep that tipping situation from happening. And then finally, we need to infill on either side of the cabinet here. I actually was able to salvage the piece that we cut out of the top, and I ripped that in half, and that will have our green painted surface to fill in the sides here. Only a 1/4 inch of this is gonna be exposed, but I wanted to fill it in nonetheless, otherwise you'd have a gap there, which would be kind of ugly. Zline does have trim kits for these microwaves. It's a big wide band of matching stainless material. Just didn't need it though. We were close enough that just a little sliver of fill on either side was not gonna be a big deal.
Holy smokes, that's loud when my head's in this cabinet.
My first thought was to use a couple 2x4s to make these little spacer strips because it was right at 3 inches tall, but it's a lot harder to find 2 perfectly flat strips of 2x4 than you think. The plywood strips turned out much easier to keep flat and parallel to the cabinet bottom, which was important to keep the front of the microwave sitting evenly against the face frame. With those additions, we are ready for the microwave, finally. These went pretty well. I just used some standard drywall screws, and I did have to add a couple shims under the top ones just to keep everything nice and straight and level and flush with this top edge here so the microwave slides right over and level with each other. The plywood thicknesses didn't stack up absolutely evenly, so there was like 1 extra shim, I think, under that side than the left side. And the spacers went on pretty well, fairly seamless, and you only see the last 1/4 inch of these guys. So I just put 3 GRK cabinet screws in 2.5 inches long each, and the microwave has a flange with 2 screws that will screw into this piece as well. So you had to have something there.
Are you getting ready to lift? Ready?
George, give us a big stretch. Give us a big stretch.
We just did a stretch. Come on, do it again.
Give us a big stretch.
Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
it's a family stretch. And back. And put the back leg back. Stretch.
Do the back leg. Come on,
Stretch. Stretch. You just look scared. You just look scared. You just look scared. We roughly need to stop it at the beginning so I can feed this cord through the back, and then we slide it on in.
Is it heavy?
It's about 70 pounds. 1, 2, 3. Nice and slow past the fridge and the countertop. Nice and slow. Not want to dent the brand new fridge, please. Watch the cardboard on your feet.
Watch the cord is the more important.
George, can you thread it in here? I'm gonna set it on my knee. And you can set it on your knee.
Okay, George,
Hopefully
will you do the final lift?
this hole is large enough. Yes.
Oh, thank you for the kisses.
Okay. Cord is in. All right. So just be real. There's not much clearance at all in all 4 directions. So we just have to be real slow with it.
Hold on, there's some tape. Make sure that piece of tape is off. Push them back. It's the second foot going up on there. What do you mean? Perfect.
There she is. Woo!
So now the drawer should open. All right, we heard a beep. I'll just push the excess back in here. There we go.
All right, George, you gonna do the honors? Whoa! Got a very scared dog.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
I don't think you're supposed to pull it open, are you?
I don't know, I'll have to read about that.
Don't try it. But don't.
I think you can. I think if you start it, it just knows.
But we should read first.
There we go. It's running. It's running.
Cool. All right, Alex, simulate what it's like to put a plate in the new microwave.
This seems a lot easier, to me anyway, than using like an over-the-range microwave, or I guess counter microwave is probably the easiest thing you can do, but just taking a plate, putting it right up here,
Warm.
rather than trying to balance a bowl of soup that you're spilling on your head
Hot
coming out of a
coffee.
over-the-range microwave. This just seems like a lot more ergonomic and a lot better. Less spills of bowls and stuff coming up out of here. And if there is, it's yeah, just easy, quick wipe down. Can't beat that. I think we're always gonna use a drawer microwave or a wall microwave of some sort. Cool.
Another really nice thing, and I was a little bit worried about this, is that the handle profile doesn't stick out too much. It seems like it's a lot less than the refrigerator, which is nice. So now we got our fridge, we got the microwave, we got our mini fridge. Next on the list is the dishwasher.
But that'll be in a different video. For the Zline video, the last thing is the stove. We're gonna have to fast forward till we have this range hood done. We used the mini fridge for a while as is, and it's very clear that it needs to be fastened up underneath the countertop. It shifts a little bit side to side. Even just closing the door will shift it side to side, just the momentum of that door closing. So I have thought a little bit about this, and this is the solution that I've come up with that is kind of experimental, but we're gonna see if it works. I cut a 2-inch strip wide of 1/2-inch plywood that's gonna go and glue up underneath the counter with this stuff right here, some good old-fashioned Harbor Freight epoxy. Shout out to Elena's dad for giving this to me in my Christmas stocking for this year. He really read my mind. I needed something that would glue wood to ceramic, and hopefully that does the trick. And then I also made this little sheet metal cap to just try to hide that raw plywood edge. Not sure we're gonna need it, but I made it in case we do. If the epoxy is able to successfully adhere the wood to the bottom of the quartz countertop, we'll have a good 1/2-inch strip to be able to run some screws up into and fasten the top of this fridge. They even give you a popsicle stick to mix it with. It says it sets at 90 seconds, so I'm gonna have to work really quickly on this. No messing around. I got 4 clamps ready to go. Got this marked out on the bottom of the counter where I need it. It's go time. Holy smokes. It already started going. All right, 90 seconds starting now. Holy guacamole. Oh my gosh, it smells awful. It smells absolutely awful. Should have put a mask on. Come on, girl. It smells really weird. It doesn't even smell like VOCs. It smells like peanut butter or something. I don't even know what you'd call it. Peanut butter is probably not the right term. Really breaking out the full DeWalt clamp arsenal on this one. Only got one shot. One opportunity. Sees everything I ever wanted. One moment. Would you clamp it or just let it slip? We'll let this sit a while and hopefully this solves the issue. Fast forward a few hours, epoxy's dry, and I don't think this thing is going anywhere. It is on there. I'm not gonna test my luck too much by trying to yank on it to test it out. I think it's gonna be good. However, this extra thickness under here is gonna make it pretty tight up against the fridge. I took some measurements. I'm gonna have to ditch the little silver brackets that came with the fridge because they have probably a 3/16 inch step in them. And that's not gonna fit underneath this new piece of plywood. So I just went ahead and folded up a little doubled up sheet of sheet metal, drilled some holes in it to match this one, except I added an extra hole just for some extra holding power in the strip. And I'm gonna use this instead. This is perfectly flat, so it should fit. We'll see if this works.
That is snug.
Hopefully this is the very last time this thing is going in here. Well, my screws might not fit underneath my plywood. Could be a minor issue. I may have spoken slightly too soon if those screws can't go under that plywood. Please slip under there. It does on this side. This side just slightly higher. This side is definitely just a little higher. I brought the front leg down just a little bit with this wrench. This was super handy to have this because you can adjust them from the side without lifting the fridge up. Oh, I think it'll just barely go. All right. After some finagling with the wrench from down here, I think I finally have it in place exactly where we need it to be. Nice and flush with the front of the cabinets. It looks like it was meant to be there. Now, here's the only ugly part left. This piece of plywood, but we're about to change that with just a little bit of sheet metal. This bracket is really tight over here, so I did have to cut out my sheet metal to accommodate that. In theory, you shouldn't see it though when it's all installed. Oh, it fits like a glove. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. It looks so much better. It would have been perfect if I didn't scuff the paint just a little bit while putting this bend in, but wow. I can't ask for much better than that, to be honest. This trim is steel, so there's no way I'm gonna get a screw in there without a pre-drill. Gonna need to do a smaller pre-drill for the screw itself. Finished out quite nice. And there is the final product. That looks a lot better. And now, when that thing closes, it's solid as a rock. Not going anywhere. And now on to the very last appliance, our stove. This thing is a 200-pound beauty, so we're gonna be using our furniture straps to get it off this pallet here, and then on maybe a piece of cardboard or some furniture sliders to slide it over there. Here's our setup once we get it there. We have our gas outlet, a 4-foot appliance connector. Probably should have done 3 foot. It's what the manual said is the max, but we'll get it tucked up in there. Our plug for plugging the electricity in, and then this blank plate actually has a 40 amp circuit pre-wired in there, just a piece of 8.2 Romex or 8.3 Romex, in case we ever want to go to an induction range, but for now we're gonna do gas. These forearm lifting straps were huge lifesavers. This stove is like 200 pounds and we would have definitely been dragging it without the straps. 3-foot connector probably would have been pushing it. I'm glad I got 4 foot. The hard part's just gonna be getting it all snug back up in there. Oh, you know, the one thing about the furniture sliders, it's gonna raise the height of the thing. So yeah, we probably won't wanna do that. These appliance connector connections are flare. It's important that we don't use Teflon tape on these flare connections. Not tape, but pipe dope. Pretty snug. I'm gonna measure the height of this thing and make sure we're gonna fit underneath our stove recess. I know we were right at it. So we're just under 10 inches. Yep, this is about 10.5 on the furniture sliders. So once you take those away, we'll be at 10.25. So it'll just barely clear. That's perfect. I originally had the gas box like up here. If I didn't move that down before roughing, we would have been in trouble. Not sure what we would have done. Probably had to do some crazy plumbing to get the pipe to run down further. Wouldn't have been fun. We're all connected up there. I'm gonna go hit the valve down here in the utility room and then the valve behind the stove. It has been a while since this valve's on, hence the drywall dust on top of it. Definitely sticky. There we go. Propane is so low pressure, I didn't even hear anything flow. We're gonna need some of this. Micro bubbles. We're on. Start using my nose and my micro bubbles. Looking good so far.
One note on the back of this regulator, this cap right here, I had to unscrew that and swap the little pin in it, which is the difference between natural gas and liquid propane. We have propane, it comes from the factory, set up for natural gas. This test is looking pretty promising so far. Just as a sanity check that we have gas, I'm gonna go ahead and light this one burner up. I did also have to change that little orifice right there for the LP conversion as well. If you look at this one over here for natural gas, it's quite a bit larger. There's propane. They give you this really handy little kit that you can use to store them in case you do ever need to use this stove on natural gas again, which, you know, if you sell it or something or the house gets converted, it'd be good to have these on hand. All right, let's see what we got here. I definitely hear something. Might just be air purging out right now though. You smell?
Utility room?
I think it's just air right now, or it's a very weak concentration. Oh no, girl. You can do it. I feel like I'm wearing this freaking igniter out.
Why don't you do a different one? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Now I hear something.
that sounds like a lot more.
Okay, you got that on high.
I really don't smell any propane yet though, but something's definitely coming out. Please don't blow up my face.
Where's the closest sprinkler?
Get the sprinklers on. I think it's literally, we just have to purge all this freaking air out of the line.
How long could the line possibly be?
It's 75 feet long.
Inside this?
No, from the utility room.
Oh.
And it's, you know, 3/4 inch thick, so propane hasn't made its way up here yet. Maybe I should just take this off until we start smelling gas. Yeah, it just smells like air.
Sounds like air.
It literally has no, it has no propane smell at all. They give it the, whiff of rotten eggs so that you smell it. Naturally, it doesn't smell like anything. It's such a tiny orifice too. Like literally 75 foot of tubes got to come through that little hole, which is probably why it's taking a long time. Got a little whiff of it. We should have better luck now. Come on. Hey! We have fire!
We have heat.
Let's just see how it's filling out all the burners.
Didn't fill out the ones. Oh, it did. It's just my angle.
There she goes. You can just barely see the flame on camera. What are we gonna cook first?
Cinnamon rolls. I really want to cook cinnamon rolls. Not cook, bake. We have a very good homemade cinnamon roll recipe, and I've been missing out for 1.5 years now.
Let's go, stove. Still no bubbles. We're good to scoot this guy back in here. The last tricky thing here is making sure this coils up nicely behind there. So I sort of pre-bent it that way. I measured from the wall to make sure that that bend will actually fit underneath the stove as is. So we just have to make these big 2 bends work out. And I think it will be just fine. I'm just gonna let the cord be on the floor. Push it towards me.
Looks like I'm gonna clear. Hey, buddy, you can't fit in that hole. There's a very tiny hole and you can't fit in it.
At the countertop, it's gonna be like pretty darn tight. In fact, let me just measure quick. Okay, this is like 30 and a 16th, and I think the counter's 30 and an 1/8. It'll be a squeeze. Probably gonna be rubbing on the counter, the edge of it a little bit, but all right, nice and slow. I'm in contact here, but I'm in.
Buddy, you've got to move. You're in the way. Georgie, I'm gonna have to have you move, sir.
Might need to play with the feet a bit.
He's falling asleep. You're in my way and you're falling asleep. Ooh.
And there she is. Wow, looks really good. Really, really good. Yeah, it's cool. A lot nicer than the cheesy little things in the grooves on the side. Although I'm not sure about cleaning if that's gonna be a pain in the butt eventually, but it does look like they are moved pretty easy.
So how do you move them up and down?
I'm gonna move this one up,
Sure.
one rung.
Oh, so you don't take the whole drawer, or you do take the whole slide thing?
I'll take the slide. Oh, I see, there's top tabs and bottom tabs. So you gotta make sure the top tabs get over the top, the bottom tabs under the bottom.
I see.
And then this last one is a hook.
Definitely not as easy to move than a normal.
Not as easy to move, but you're right, how often do you really move these things? Not something you wanna do with oven mitts on. That's a wrap on appliances. Really glad to have everything in and functioning. Obviously can't speak to the longevity of any of these yet because we just started them all up. Tell them, as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. You're out of breath.